And keep elbows inside these wooden rails. We do come close to other boats, walls, bridges. Don't want anybody to get injured tonight. I do have life jackets on board for everybody. We've never used them before. If you do find yourself in the river for some reason, try standing up. It's about 3 feet deep. Almost everywhere we go, I'll jump in there. We can walk out together. They might let me leave early then. All right, everybody, let's get started with the tour. Now, straight ahead is La Villita. La Villita means little village. La Villita was the very first settlement in all of San Antonio, originally built in 1722 to accommodate the Spanish soldiers stationed at the Alamo. Today it is art galleries, gift shops, restaurants, bars, whole village of shopping beyond these buildings we're looking at. All part of La Villita. Now coming around the corner we have, also part of La Villita, is the Arneson River Theater. This theater was built back in 1941. Holds about 800 people on the left. And if that stage looks familiar, you may have seen Miss Congeniality starring Sandra Bullock. Now we're going to listen to what's going on real quick. Let me tell you about Mr. Robert Hugman. He's the architect and the father of the Riverwalk, we call. He designed that theater, that bridge we just went under, and all these fixtures around the river. We're going to talk about him a few times tonight. We call him the father of the Riverwalk, Robert Hugman. This was his dream. Now to the right, there's a statue of some longhorns. Right behind that statue is a beige building. It was built back in 1930. Originally the San Antonio Library's first location. 2013 it became the Briscoe Western Art Museum. They added this other building onto it. This is my favorite museum in the city. I promise if you go in there you won't regret it. They open again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Don't let this one pass you by, the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Now this bridge we're about to go under is one of 5 in the city, one of 10 in the nation, built by the Berlin Bridge Company out of Berlin, Connecticut. Now I know the beams look low on this bridge, but don't worry, unless you're 7 feet tall or taller, you'll go right under there. But you know, tonight I'm going to attempt to go right in between these beams to make that a moot point. Let's see what happens here. There it is, there it is. Nailed it. Alright, now coming up to the right, there's a little island there. It has that black statue and the big tree on it. That is called Marriage Island. Now Marriage Island to the right here was built back in 1991. It is a heart-shaped island, pretty much made of the roots of that tree. Now we call it Marriage Island because well over 300 couples a year get married, to my right, on that teeny little heart-shaped island. Not uncommon at all to see a wedding during a boat tour. I've seen more weddings on this little island than I can even remember. Marriage Island, everybody. Sometimes a couple a day you see on there, weddings. Now right when we get out from under this bridge, there's another little island to the right. We call this one Divorce Island.
Divorce Island.
The other one is marriage and this one is divorce.
All right. I'm just joking about that. It's just another beautiful feature designed by Mr. Robert Hugman. It's actually a peninsula, very beautiful peninsula. All right, everybody take a look way up in the sky to the left. You'll see a beautiful building with an American flag on it. If you notice, there are gargoyles going all the way around the top of that building. Those gargoyles up there, they're about 7 feet long. I know they don't seem that big from here, but they are. Now, as you're looking up at the gargoyles going around that building up there, does that remind you of anything? Anybody? Anybody seen the original Ghostbusters? All right, that's not it, but it looks similar to that. It is the Tower Life building. It was built back in 1929. Had a Sears Roebuck in the bottom 6 floors for the first 10 years, right where the windows are. And yes, the architect was superstitious. Look under the windows. Ugly concrete faces. Those faces go all the way around the building. They're called grotesques. The grotesques down here and the gargoyles up top were meant to ward off evil spirits and bad business. Well, it didn't work that well. Later that year, the stock market crashed. They had to sell this building for pennies on the dollar. Now, it did survive over the years. About 7 months ago, they started construction. They're building 250 apartments way up top where the gargoyles are inside there. And I think it might be totally awesome to have an apartment way up in that building on the San Antonio Riverwalk. Very cool. We'll see how much they cost when they come out and they finish building. There's a little shade for you. All right, now straight ahead, that big red building with the green roof, that is the Barron County Courthouse, built in 1897. It is the largest and longest continuously running courthouse in the state of Texas. Only been in that building one time. It was not good. Not good time. Now back in 1921, we had a terrible flood here in San Antonio. The water rose about 9 feet above street level. Because of that, the city of San Antonio and the Army Corps of Engineers came up with a flood protection plan. Right in front of us is Floodgate 4, part of that plan. Now look to the right and left, there's scraping marks on those little walls there. See that? The little walls to the left and the right of the front of the boat there. Well, those scraping marks are there because below us under the water is a gigantic wall that goes all the way across. When they engage it, it flips up and it blocks all the water from coming through here. It's a very effective floodgate, floodgate number 4. Now I'm going to honk the horn right now. Don't panic. Here we go. Now when they think it's going to flood here in San Antonio, they shut down floodgate 4 right here. They also shut down floodgate 3. I'm going to show you in a few minutes down the way. And that makes all the excess water go way behind us. About 200 miles that way, all the way down to Corpus Christi, Texas. That's where the San Antonio River ends, 200 miles south. Now this bridge coming up is called Love Lock Bridge. It's a tradition from the French. What you're supposed to do, you and your loved ones sign off on a padlock. You lock it on the fence up there, and can anybody guess what do you do with that key?
You throw it.
Very good, you throw it in the river. It's supposed to be good luck. Now, it doesn't always work. Mine's a combination lock up there just in case. Love Lock Bridge, everybody. Now, the San Antonio River begins about 4 miles north of us at the University of Incarnate Word. On their property, they have a spring they call the Blue Hole. That's where the headwaters come out for this river. So the San Antonio River begins about 4 miles north and it ends about 200 miles south. This river is thousands of years old. The Indians used to call it Yanaguana, means enchanted or peaceful waters. Yanaguana. Now to the right, this building was also built in 1929. Originally the Alamo National Bank building. 2007 it became the Drury Plaza Hotel, but to this day, when you walk through the lobby, it looks just like the old-time bank in the 30s. They also have a 1930 Ford fully restored in that lobby. Well worth checking out for your antiques and architecture. Very cool. All right, we're going to let this boat pass us real quick. All right, now there's a tree right in front of us. That big tree with the lights on it. That is the largest and the oldest tree on the river. That tree stands 90 feet tall, well over 350 years old. It is a bald cypress tree, by the way. All right, everybody, we got the cops coming. Act natural. What a beautiful tree it is. Check it out. It's a bald cypress tree. We'll let them pass us. All right, now this green contraption right here, this is floodgate 3 that I was telling you about. Now this one works a little different than floodgate 4. Instead of having a giant wall underneath the water, this one has a giant wall up top. You can see it up there. This one works more like a garage door or a guillotine, if you will. Takes about 20 minutes to come all the way down. Once they engage it, it's very slow, but it's very effective like floodgate 4. These two floodgates were installed in 1941. Since then, it has never, not once ever flooded on the horseshoe portion of the San Antonio River. They're very effective. That's what we use them for, flood control. Now to the right, we have the Esquire Tavern. They opened their doors back in 1933 to celebrate the end of Prohibition. Prior to that, it was a speakeasy or a quote-unquote barber shop. You could get in there for a drink, but you had to have the secret handshake or password of the day back then. They also have about 100-foot long wooden bar in there, one of the larger in Texas, the Esquire Tavern, everybody. Make a great Manhattan in there too, that's what I get. Alright, now this one coming up to the right is the Go Rio location. It is called the Aztec location. Now this one is called the Aztec location because the ticket booth for it is in the basement of the Aztec Theater. Now the Aztec Theater to your right was built in 1926. It is 100 years old. Charlie Chaplin and other black and white silent movies debuted in that theater. Today it's a concert venue. They've converted it into a concert venue. I've seen great shows in there. The Aztec Theater. Now this balcony part was built in 2020. It has that statue up there, that Aztec god or whatever that thing is. Nothing historic about it, but it is there. 2020 that was built. Alright, now this bridge in front of us is dedicated to Mr. Robert Hugman, the architect and the father of the Riverwalk. But it's better known lately as the Salina Bridge, featured in the 1997 movie Salina, starring Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer did a scene above us on this bridge, launched her career with that movie, and made this bridge the most popular landmark on the whole Riverwalk. Everybody wants to know where the Salina Bridge is. Well, it's right above you. If you forgot to take a picture, don't worry, it looks the same from this side. The Salina Bridge. To the left is the La Mansion Hotel, established in '68. But believe it or not, this beautiful building left was built in 1853. It was originally the St. Mary's School for Boys, and the very beautiful Spanish-style architecture on that building makes it one of my favorites on the river. What a beautiful building it is. Look at that Spanish-style architecture. Awesome. All right, when we get to the other side of this bridge, I'm going to show you a really cool optical illusion. You're going to want to see this. So what you're going to do to see it properly, right when you get to the other side of this bridge, immediately look way up in the sky, directly to the left of the boat. You're going to see what appears to be a freestanding brick wall. Now you got to do it right away, and the trick is to focus on the top left of that building. Are you ready? Check it out. Way up in the sky to the left. Looks like a freestanding brick wall up there, doesn't it? Check it out. Way up in the sky to the left. Everybody seeing that? Pretty cool. That is the Nix Hospital building. It was built back in 1930. One of the first hospitals in the nation to have air conditioning. It is birthplace to Oliver North, Carol Burnett, former Mayor Henry Cisneros, and my dad. Now in 2020 they shut down this hospital. Bubba Gump's the only thing in there right now. They're refurbishing the rest into a new hotel. Shocker. Now straight ahead, there's a big white building. That is the Hyatt Regency Hotel, built in 1981. Now the Hyatt in front of us only has 16 floors on it. And the reason is they calculated if it was any taller, they would cast a shadow on the Alamo. They didn't want to do that. So they stopped at 16 floors. Now the Alamo's right in front of us on the other side of that big building. Very easy to get to from here. Don't forget to check it out. Remember the Alamo. Now this bridge we're about to go under is another one built by the Berlin Bridge Company out of Berlin, Connecticut. Now this is the exact same model as the one we already went under, it's just much higher. Other than that, it is identical. Now to the right, this red building is the Casino Club building. It was built back in 1927, originally the San Antonio Casino Association. Today it is a restaurant on the bottom 2 floors and expensive apartments up top. Alex Haley, the author of Roots, and also Tommy Lee Jones, both lived up in those apartments at one point. Now this area is known as Restaurant Row for obvious reasons. If you're looking for some authentic Tex-Mex, you don't have to look too far. A lot of these restaurants will hook you right up. And before you leave San Antonio, you got to get into some authentic Texas barbecue. I'm talking about brisket, everybody. And Texas sauce is optional because that meat is just so good you don't need it. Got to get some of that brisket. Now ahead of us up on street level, there's a big red statue. You got to look through the trees. That red statue is the Torch of Friendship, built in 2002 by Sebastian, a Mexican artist. And it was a gift from Mexico to San Antonio as a gesture of friendship. The Torch of Friendship right there. Now coming up to the right by the staircase is a bust of Robert Hudman. Robert Hudman designed most of this stuff when he was about 27 years old. He graduated from the University of Texas. This was his dream right there, Mr. Robert Hudman to the right. All right, everybody, Casa Rio was the very first restaurant to open their doors on the river. This restaurant opened back in 1946, and it's still open today. Same family owns them. Must be doing something right. Also, this restaurant was featured in The Getaway, starring Steve McQueen, back in 1972. Little traffic here. All right, everybody. Again, the San Antonio River is a natural river, thousands of years old, natural ground under us. But we're going to take a left and go into this bridge. As soon as we do, we will be on the man-made extension. Here we go. All right, everybody, we are now on the man-made extension. There is concrete under us, still about 3 feet deep everywhere back here. About 3 or 4 feet. Yeah, all the way, there's only a couple places in the whole 204 miles that are a little deeper. Other than that, it's a shallow river most of the way. But it's spring fed, so it never dies. All right, everybody, now the man-made extension that we're on right now was built in 1968 to accommodate the World's Fair that we hosted here in that year. That way you could get from the fair down here to the river, back and forth to the convention center and so on. But back then they didn't have these kind of boats. You had to rent a little paddle boat and paddle yourself. But I got you covered tonight, don't worry about it. It's all good. That was a long time ago. All right, now again, we did host the World's Fair back in 1968 here in San Antonio, and the absolute gem of the World's Fair, the Tower of the Americas. Take a look to your right, way up in the sky. You'll see the tower. That is a 750-foot tower, has an observation deck on top. Also has a restaurant up there that rotates, so you can watch the city go by as you're dining. I highly recommend the restaurant up there in the tower, but if you don't want to eat, you can bypass it and go straight up to the observation deck. Either way, you got to check it out before you leave San Antonio, the Tower of the Americas. Don't worry, there's a bar up there. Straight ahead is the Stargazer statue. This statue stands 16 feet tall, made out of a little over 80 pieces of Mexican volcanic rock, and the star is made out of marble. And the kids love to play on it despite the sign. The Stargazer. Alright, there's the Tower of the Americas if you missed it. Then we're going under this bridge. It's a low bridge. Do not stand up. This bridge is undefeated against foreheads. Now, I don't know if you guys realize it, but we're right in the midst of Fiesta right now. San Antonio every year has about a 2-week party all over the city. Nobody gets nothing done at work. And it lasts till Sunday night. So if you're in town and you get out anywhere, you're going to see Fiesta parties happening. So enjoy it. Goes till Sunday night. All over the city. Now ahead of us, that footbridge there, that silver bridge, as soon as we pass it, I'm going to show you the Lila Cockrell Theater, named after the very first female mayor here in San Antonio, Miss Lila Cockrell. She served 4 terms as mayor, and she must have done a good job because they named this theater after her. As soon as you get past this footbridge, look up in the sky to the left of the boat. You're going to see the Lila Cockrell Theater. Now you're also going to see a very beautiful mural above it, made of a little over 400,000 pieces of 1-inch by 1-inch tile. That is called the Confluence of Civilizations. It was built in '68 for the World's Fair as well. That was the motto for the World's Fair too, the Confluence of Civilizations. Now if you look right in the center of that mural, you'll see what is supposed to be the family of the future. Apparently in the future it's clothing optional. We'll see what happens. Alright, we're going to go around this little island here. All right, now to the right here, that's called the grotto under there. That's where they have private parties. They had a big party Friday there. Now, I've been fortunate enough to go to a few of those parties. Very cool place to have a party. If you're on foot, though, and you take a left, you'll be at the Tower of the Americas. If you go right, you'll be at the Hemisphere Plaza. Very cool park. Has fountains for kids to run through and all that kind of stuff. All right, everybody, I'm going to need to go through this very narrow passageway now. So if you've been ignoring the elbows in, now's the time to do it. Elbows in, everybody, inside the wooden rails. Now all around us is the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, named after the very first Hispanic congressman, Henry B. Gonzalez. Now, when it was first built in 1968, it was much smaller. 2009, they had an expansion, and now it is one of the larger in the nation. This is an enormous convention center. Can't tell from here, but especially to the right of the boat, it goes on and on and on and on. Now, if you look to the left, you'll see another beautiful mural, also built in '68 for the World's Fair, but by a different artist than that one. Now, if you didn't realize it, this is an electric boat. We have a fleet of 44 of these electric boats. They have different designs on it. My favorite's the one we're on tonight, the military motif. Eagle, stars, stripes, all that. We've been a military city for many years here in San Antonio. There's also boats with doves on it, commemorates peace. There's a boat with the sun on it, commemorates the 300 days of sunlight we average each year. here in San Antonio. There's also boats with missions on it. We have 5 missions in the city. And lastly, there are boats with a big 300 on it. That commemorates the tricentennial we had in 2018. San Antonio is now 307 years old. We'll be 308 May 1st, just a little while from now. Is that a week or so? All right, to the right is the Stargazer again, different view of it. And then we're going to go under the low bridge again. Do not stand up. Now, if you look a little bit to the right where all those people are standing, there's a statue of St. Anthony by the palm trees right there. Well, that statue of St. Anthony was given to San Antonio by Portugal during the 1968 World's Fair that we hosted here. St. Anthony is the patron saint of lost items and lost children. The San Antonio River was named after that saint, and then the city was named after the river, not the other way around like you might think, or like in other big cities how they have it. St. Anthony, everybody.
Looking out through that marble star. She's looking at the stars. Where is she looking into the future? Asking
All right, everybody, if you look ahead of us way up in the sky, you'll see the Hilton Palacio Del Rio Hotel, that big white building. And it has a sign on it. It says Hilton Palacio Del Rio. Now, if you look a little closer, you got to look through those trees. You'll see that the rooms on that hotel look like blocks, don't they? Well, that's because they are. Back in 1968, the World's Fair was coming quick, and we needed way more hotel space. So H.P. Zachary, a local construction company, rose to the challenge and built that big building in a world record pace. The way they did it so quick is the modular method. About 7 miles away, they had a construction site. Each one of those rooms was built one at a time, 7 miles away at that site. Now, once each room was complete, and I'm talking about fully furnished, beds made, all the amenities in there, coffee machine, television in each room. At that point, they brought them this way 7 miles, and a big crane grabbed them one at a time, stacked them on top of each other, just like blocks. Now, they stacked a little over 500 rooms up there. That enabled them to break a world record and build that building in just 7 months. The little ticket booth you bought your tickets in took 18 months to build. H.P. Zachary versus the government. Now, I know it's hard to see that building, but when I drop you off, just look right across the river, because that's where you boarded, right behind that building, and you'll see those modular rooms up close. But for right now, I want to focus on getting back on the natural part of the San Antonio River. As soon as we cross that bridge, we'll be back on it. All right, everybody, we're back on the natural part of the river, the way it was formed thousands of years ago. All right, we're almost done with the tour, everybody. If you guys could do me a favor, make sure you take everything off the boat you brought on, especially trash. Please don't leave any garbage on the boat. And for your safety, please remain seated till I have this boat docked and tied down. I'll let you know when it is safe to exit. Now, one more thing, everybody. If you guys enjoyed this tour as much as I enjoyed giving it, well, tips are allowed, accepted, and certainly appreciated for a job well done. I want to put my tip jar right there on the helm, and if you guys are so inclined,